Welcome back to Will, a Wonderful World. Last time we we gave a cat a gun, and we gave a very mentally troubled man a dried salted fish, and that seemed to fix things okay. Well, for these two. Apparently not so much for Gyeongmin, because Gyeongmin's got another letter for us. And that's what we're going to take a look at today. 1200cc. Kinda curious what that refers to. Port of Busan, near Warehouse 23. About 40 people were there, lying, standing, running. The fishermen who were up early for work had gathered around when they realized that something big had happened. The reporters who had heard some tips were huddling with them, hoping to catch any newsworthy material that could make a career. But the only two people who knew what had happened had already left the scene. The ambulance was traveling as fast as it could while trying to remain steady. Lieutenant Kang was lying on the seat opposite me. He was still unconscious. I just realized what 1200cc means. The medics said that he was basically asleep and that there was no need to worry. I wasn't surprised. After all, I had intentionally avoided his critical spots earlier. Maybe after the nap he would be even more relaxed. Tired. Felt so tired. First, I'd had to knock out a mob of gangsters. And then I'd been threatened by Tue Johan, and then I still had to fight the lieutenant. I hadn't slept the whole night. Still, I had so many questions in my head that I couldn't rest at all. Why would Lieutenant Kang attack me? And how had he become so strong? Like another person completely. What kind of secrets had the lieutenant been hiding? Furthermore, this bald-headed, muscular man who was lying between us due to loss of blood. Who was he? Considering the situation... I'm just stumbling over my words today. Considering the situation with the lieutenant, I began to find this big man suspicious too. I quietly took a syringe from the tray near us and hid it, just in case one of them suddenly woke up and tried to stab me with it, like a maniac. He took a syringe for self-protection. He took a syringe to prevent other people from stabbing him with it. Not to stab people with it, but to prevent other people from stabbing him with it. That's really not not a bad idea, I guess. It's just, that's how absurd the situation he's in is, huh? His veins. The medic mumbled something while trying to give the big man an IV. Suddenly, the ambulance took a sharp left turn and the driver slammed on the brakes to slow down. I heard a few curses from the driver's seat. The ambulance started again, and we noticed that the needle had slashed the muscular man, that there was a deep cut in his arm. Strangely, though, there was no blood coming out of the cut at all. Transfiguration. Oh, are we going to have a magic lesson here? After the Cold War ended, there were still plenty of active undercover spies and intelligence agents in both the US and Russia. Transfiguration, at the time, was a main technique adopted by spies to lose someone on their tail. Transfiguration includes more than just changing looks. Changing the color of the outfit, putting sand in the shoes to alter the gait are all common tricks to help reinforce the disguise and fool a less experienced counterintelligence officer. In 2014, the Russian counterintelligence agency uncovered over 290 foreign... Give me the rest of my definition back. me my definition back! From experience, I know clicking on it again won't do anything. Oh, wait, yes! Success! In 2014, the Russian counterintelligence agency uncovered over 290 foreign spies on Russian soil. However, being exposed did not necessarily mean that one would be arraigned or arrested. Both the Russians and the Americans have similar approaches when dealing with such situations through the exchanging of captives through diplomatic channels or simply deporting the apprehended agents. That hasn't worked for me before, but I'm happy it worked for me now. I stared at the red operating sign in the ER. I was trying to remember the documentaries I had seen about transfiguration that I had seen in the police academy. Transfiguration was a skill that not only could change one's looks, but even one's figure. A transfiguration expert could wear a disguise that was good enough to fool anyone farther than 20 centimeters away. This was my first time ever witnessing it at such a close distance. It was so shockingly real. The bodysuit had different thicknesses in different areas. The thicker parts perfectly resembled the texture of bulging muscles. The suit was also completely skin tight once put on a person, leaving no gaps between the suit and the wearer's skin, preventing people from sensing anything unnatural by contact. It was very difficult to replicate the texture of real skin on the suit, though. Most people who wore it to transfigure themselves would be exposed when people touched their skin. However, this female senior officer, with the perfect body, was brave enough and skilled enough to go undercover in a violent gang, all while pretending to be a shirtless meathead. Did we really need the perfect body comment? It simply meant that she must be a master among masters in transfiguration. The people in Unit 4 were practically superheroes. I took out a pack of tissues from my pocket and calmly wiped off the blood coming out of my nose. Not only was this my first time seeing somebody using transfiguration, it was also my first time seeing a naked, gorgeous woman like this. Chang Gyo-min is just Jimmy. Except instead of using fighting games, he actually fights. Lieutenant Kang had told me before that Officer Ji-yeon had never attended the police academy, so she was even younger than me. More importantly, she also had a full head of shining, long, and straight black hair. She was essentially a goddess from my dreams. From now on, I would be able to spend time with a senior officer like this every day. I, Chang Gyo-min, could die a happy man any time now. Someone had just come out of the operating room. It was a young nurse. Can the young nurse please set this man's priorities straight? She ran towards me as I was the only person in the hallway. Are you a family member of the patient? I nodded my head, shook it, and nodded again. She has lost too much blood. We need at least 1200 cc more for transfusion, but we're running out of blood. There we go. I actually should have figured it, but I completely forgot that we had a muscle man, I guess not actually a muscle man, who had been shot in the abdomen. I was a little preoccupied with giving a cat a gun. There haven't been enough donations recently. Our blood bank doesn't have enough blood of her type in storage. We're also having a shortage of another type too. I think it is... Oh, right. It was type A. What is Officer Ji-yeon's blood type? Type O. What was my blood type again? I remembered I had to check before. Let me think. Yes, It was type A. Lieutenant Kong, who had been asleep since we got to the hospital, was suddenly standing behind me. Mine is type B. The nurse looked sympathetic. I'm sorry, but neither of your blood types is a match. Are we gonna change this person's blood type? And that's just gonna be totally fine because we're a god? Is that what everything has been leading up to? I'll have to go and call another hospital. I hope it's not too late. At the beginning of the 20th century, Austrian scientist Karl Landsteiner and Czech serologist Jan Jansky discovered blood type independently by mixing the blood of healthy people externally. They classified blood into 4 types, which are now known as A, B, O, and AB. In the ABO system, the red blood cell in type A and B blood has antigens A and B respectively. The antigens then suppress the natural existence of the corresponding antibodies in their immune system. People with type O blood have neither antigens, which results in the presence of lots of antibodies A and B. Consequently, people with the type O blood cannot accept blood transfusion from other blood types, as the immune system reaction would be too severe and potentially fatal. On the other hand, type O blood can be donated to people with other types of blood, hence the nickname universal donor. And can I just say, I'm glad we do not have rare and strange blood types here. Like Bombay. Let's just keep it to the common knowledge bits here. We already have a K-drama with Li Wen. A few minutes after she had hurried away, the sign went off. The doctor slowly pushed open the door to the operating room. Everything seemed to be moving in slow motion, and the door looked like it was as heavy as a mountain. I'm so sorry. I held my head in my hands, staring at the floor. I couldn't breathe. It was all because of my little trick. If I hadn't shot her, if only I were a better police officer, she would still be alive. Okay, well, first off, yes, we're clearly going to change her blood type, but second off, we're going to change her blood type because Gyeongmin is type A and Kang is type B. But you didn't shoot her. You shot Lieutenant Kang. Choi Johan shot her. Don't take responsibility for things you didn't actually do there now, Youngmin. There's also the stereotypes, actually, that, like, in East Asian culture, that, like, blood types define your personality, and type A's are perfectionists. I guess this might be a thing in Western culture, too. I mostly see it in East Asian culture. But type A's are, like, perfectionists and uptight, and type B's are more loose and relaxed and shit. I can tell you that's bullshit because I'm type A. And shit, I can be a perfectionist at times. It's still bullshit. Anyway, let's go and change some blood types, shall we? Okay, here we are. Okay. This always has to be 1, this always has to be 3, this always has to be 5, and this always has to be 7 in the sequence of events. We can change Lieutenant Kang's blood type. Alright. So, let's go ahead and, first off, this second type is irrelevant. So let's go ahead and change that to type B. And with this, both Lieutenant Kang and Gyeongmin can donate to Jiyeon. I feel like since Lieutenant Kang was shot, we don't really want Lieutenant Kang to be the main donor here. So let's go ahead and have Gyeongmin still be Type A, while Lieutenant Kang is Type O. So just in case, because 1200cc can be quite a bit, I think, not a medical expert by any means here, they can siphon the leftover from Lieutenant Kang. This is the first time we've had something like this, though. New mechanics, still. Great! Both of your blood types are a match. We'll take 400cc from each of you, plus the last 400cc of Type O blood in our storage, and it should be enough. I'll draw blood from you both immediately. She gently pushed a needle into my arm. I watched as my blood slowly filled the bag, thinking about how it was going to save her life. You've been in my unit for a while now. I never had the chance to tell you something. Lieutenant Kang, who had his blood drawn earlier, leaned on the long bench next to me and spoke to me. Considering what I accomplished today, was he going to reward me with something? To tell me something? Could it be you were very good? You were the best new recruit I've ever seen? Unit 4 is so lucky to have you? I just couldn't stop my imagination. He took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. You're not supposed to smoke in the hospital, Lieutenant! But then he must have realized that he couldn't smoke here, so he took it out and put it back in his pack. Thank you. Never be late again. If you are, I'll have you transferred. That's not really fair, Lieutenant. You didn't tell him about the thing. You didn't tell him about the mission. There was no way he could have gotten there on time. Hell, he just trying to get there. He actually did get punched out by like gang members multiple times in a bathroom. And there we go, immediate best ending. But yeah, you nearly got like punched out multiple times by gang members in like a gang bar, trying to save you already. That ain't fair. Our next two letters, is that more Gyeongmin? I gotta click and see.
Lo siento.
Alicia? Well, yeah, that was obvious. She's the only purple one.
만약 돌아갈 수만 있다면.
And we're still continuing on with Gyeongmin next time. This is just the continuing storyline for now, I guess. That's it. I do have a nice backlog of unknown endings. And of course, if you're familiar with any good visual novel, well, I don't know about good necessarily, but like if you're familiar with any sort of visual novel or text adventure game, there's a lot of extra tidbits in these alternate options that we may not find out if we just follow the main storyline. For example, was it this one? This one. In one of Carlos's, here we are. In one of Carlos's, this was not the best ending here. But by getting this other ending here, we learned that Carlos's favorite Chinese dessert is 粽子, which is like a sticky rice packet. It can actually come in sweet and savory variations. Savory variation has a lot of mung bean, some like pork belly, stuff like that. And the sweet one, I think, is mostly sweet, maybe some red bean. Tends to have like more of an amber color. My dad was a huge fan of it, of like eating it with maple syrup drizzled on top. But yeah, you get the extra little tidbits like this in these other endings that you don't necessarily get in the best endings. Which is why, other than unlocking these other paths, it's been pretty fun to get these extra endings. And something that I have been keeping to myself for some time now, because I got all these endings some time ago, is that Min Jun actually could have known about this trap. In fact, if Gyeongmin tries to take Min Jun as backup to rescue Lieutenant Kang, Min Jun directs him towards the lieutenant's home, and then they both get knocked out. They also lose their wallets, apparently. I say apparently because Minjun shows up in the bathroom where Gyeongmin gets beaten up from like trying to snitch, and just sort of watches him doing absolutely nothing. So that's something we're gonna want to keep in mind, I think. As we meet more members of Unit 4. For now, next time we're back with Alicia and Gyeongmin. And I'm gonna be like poking around at all of this extra ending content. And maybe we'll find some more hey, yes, please. I have not like seen shit. There we go. My mistake. I'll be poking around at like all of this extra content. And maybe we'll have some more information to fill out the profiles with that. So we'll see you then, as we continue down the twisted paths of this wonderful, wonderful world. We'll see you next time.